Hari Om. Mundaka Upanishad. We'll study this Upanishad. It has got 3 chapters, each with 2 sections. This is found in Atharva Ved. We have these 4 Vedas, and in the end portion of all these Vedas, we have the Upanishads. And the Upanishad gives the sublime teaching of the Supreme Reality. The main basic teaching in all the Upanishad is that the self in me is not confined, is not a small thing, but it is that Supreme Brahma itself, which is of the nature of pure existence, consciousness and bliss. The self is Brahma, but because of ignorance, one doesn't recognize one's own self. One has not as though experienced one's own self. One is experiencing something other than or something other than what our self really is. Just as like a dream. In our dream also we experience very strange things which are not true, which are not real. In the same way, what we are experiencing in the state of ignorance is not the reality. The reality is something else only. Just as on earth when we look, it appears to be flat, but reality is something different. The earth is spherical. Though all our experiences say that it is flat, in fact, people, they just could not imagine that it can be like a sphere, because all the oceans and all the waters will fall down if it is spherical. So it has to be flat. But later on, as the science grew and understood, the earth is not flat, it is spherical. In the same way, though our experience of ourself is that I am a limited being, I have this body, and I am experiencing this world, I am experiencing joys and sorrows, I am experiencing the world through my senses. But really speaking, all these experiences are not true. They are not what the reality is. And that is being said in the Upanishads. But to come to this knowledge, it takes its own time. One has to prepare oneself. Without the mind, without the intellect being prepared, we will not be able to appreciate what the Upanishads are saying. Even we may read it or hear it, but it will not make any sense, because what is said is very, very profound and beyond all comprehension. The mind and intellect just cannot comprehend it. It is so profound. So one has to arrive at it slowly and steadily. Hence in the 4 Vedas, we have in the beginning portion the Karma Kanda and the Upasana, and which if we practice it sincerely, then we will be able to prepare our mind for this knowledge. Karma Kanda means karma, our actions, our interaction with the world has to be proper, and our attitude should be proper. So we develop good attitude through Upasana, and we understand how to perform action by studying about the karma portion, which is simplified in Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan teaches us that you need not perform a particular ritual, but all your karmas, whatever be your responsibilities, whatever they are in this world, if you perform them properly, with proper attitude, then that itself is your spiritual sadhana. Because everyone has to act. Without action, we can't live in this world, even for a short time. We have to perform action. But the choice is given that we can act with a particular attitude, then it will help us to spiritually evolve. So those portions are there in the Vedas as well as in Bhagavad Gita also. Bhagavan explains elaborately. But after preparing ourselves, after making the mind pure and gaining the necessary qualifications, we have to then proceed towards our inner journey. So this is the outer journey, Karma Yoga Upasana, but then the Jnana takes us in our inner journey as though. So Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan is the inner journey which ultimately, by which we come to recognize or realize our own real nature. So that inner journey is the main theme of all the Upanishads. They talk about the same thing, but in different ways. So we have studied Kathopanishad, where there is this dialogue between Yamarajji and Nachiketa. And Nachiketa's qualifications are mentioned, and how he gains that knowledge and recognizes his real self. Similarly, there are other Upanishads. We have studied Kena Upanishad also. Now this Mundaka Upanishad is also a very beautiful Upanishad. It has got its own charm. In fact, the question with which it starts itself is very fascinating. Just as Kena Upanishad starts with a question, here also, after the initial 2-3 verses, we have the beautiful question by the seeker, a sincere seeker. He wants to know what is that one thing knowing which everything becomes known. One thing knowing which everything becomes known. This is possible if that one thing is pervading everything. If that one thing is the very basis of everything. Just as if we know gold, we know all the gold ornaments. So he wants to know what is that knowing which everything will become known. And then the teacher elaborately explains, first tells about the 2 types of knowledge, explaining it in great details, and then giving the sadhana also by which we can gain this supreme knowledge. Every Upanishad begins with a Shanti mantra. So this also begins. So first we will study the Shanti mantra and then enter the Upanishad. You please repeat after me. Om Bhadran Karnebhih Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashe Makshabhiryajatraah स्थिरैरङ्गैः ष्टुष्टुवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्षो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. This is a very famous Shanti mantra. It is chanted in two different styles. One is the Krishna Yajurved Paddat, that is how we chanted. It can also be chanted in Shukla Yajurved. Many times you might have heard the Shukla Yajurved style of chanting, which is done in the North India. In South, generally they follow this Krishna Yajurved style. The Upanishads as well as the Vedas, they are revealed scriptures. They were revealed many years ago. In fact, the knowledge which is there is eternal, is beginningless. But they were revealed many thousands of years ago. And during those times, the printing and all those things were not there. So the great Rishi Munis who got this revelation, they taught this to their student and they taught to their student. In this way, all the mantras of the Vedas were learnt by heart and imparted to the students. Sometimes some portion of the Vedas were learned by some section. So Ved Vyasji collected all these various different branches of knowledge and compiled them into these 4 Vedas: Rig Ved, Yajurved, Samaved, Atharvaved. And when the writing came, then it was written down. First, I think, on the Bhojpatras and all. And nowadays we have on books and internet and all sorts of CDs and I don't know. Everywhere it is there. But the real place for these mantras is in our heart. So we have to chant it in a particular tune and keep it in our heart. The mantra devatas will reveal the knowledge of these mantras. So before the study of the scriptures, the Upanishads, the teacher and the student together is to pray for peace. Without peace at all levels, the study is not possible. So peace at the level of our surrounding, peace within, and peace at the cosmic level. So Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi, a prayer for peace. Let there be peace, peace and peace. So Adhyatmic Shanti means peace at the level of my mind, intellect, senses, body, peace from within. May I be supremely peaceful, tranquility, which is also associated with happiness, which is called prasad, the inner happiness, prasad. Not outer prasad, but inner happiness. Then the shanti in the surrounding. So Adhi Bhautik Shanti. So let the surrounding, the family, or in the ashram also they used to stay, so the ashram environment, everything, let they be peaceful. And then the peace at the cosmic level, at a more, pervasive level. So let there be peace, peace, and peace. We pray to that supreme reality alone, whom we call God, who is also indicated as Om. So Om, let there be peace. O dear God, let there be peace. Then the prayer is there, ki Om Bhadrang Karne Vishrunuyama Devaha. That O Devatas, O all the deities, all the different Devatas, different forces, different powers, different expressions of that one supreme reality, which is the pure consciousness, expresses through variety of different ways in this cosmos. So all these great forces of that consciousness, they are also the Devatas. Through our body also, the same consciousness is functioning, through our senses, through our mind. So similarly, at the cosmic level also, these great forces are there, and they also play their own important role in maintaining peace and harmony in this world. So one prays to them, ki Om Devaha, all these Devatas, Bhadrang Karne Vishrunuyama, may we hear what is auspicious through our ears. May we hear what is auspicious. Constantly we receive stimuli through our senses, which we don't have. Sometimes we don't have any control. What we will see, what we will hear, what we will smell, we don't have much control. The thoughts which arise from our within, they depend on our samskar. Constantly some thoughts keep coming. And based on that, we act in this world. We go to different places. We interact with people. But what I will see, what type of world I will see around, how people will respond to me, what will be the general environment around, I don't have total control over that. So that is controlled by Ishvara. So we pray to that Ishvara, pray to the various gods, that may I hear what is auspicious. You create an environment around me that I hear only auspicious thing. That you create a filter in my ears maybe, that I hear only auspicious. That even if inauspicious sounds are coming, when they enter my system, may they become auspicious. And there are great Mahatmas, great things. They see the same world, but they see all beauty and auspiciousness in this world. Tulsidas Ji, when he says, Siya Rama mai sab jag jani. I see Siya Ram in this world. So may I hear what is auspicious from every side. What is auspicious? Auspicious is that which inspires me. Auspicious sounds, words are those which create beautiful thoughts in me, which gives rise to, which invokes the good values in me, like love, compassion, kindness, forgiveness, friendship, faith. Words have the power to create this. Words are very powerful. So when I hear or read or hear these powerful, auspicious words, they invoke that positivity within me. So it's very beneficial. To a certain extent, we can control this. We can have auspicious or have good company around us. or we can even hear. Nowadays we have all these facilities wherein we can hear pravachans, we can hear good music, we can hear the sounds of nature, and all of them, when they enter our system, they purify. The sounds, they have the power to purify our mind, because the mind is also made up of subtle sound only. So when we hear sound, when we hear words, when we hear sentences, when we hear ideas, when we get this vision, our whole system within undergoes transformation. So this is a beautiful prayer, कि may we hear what is auspicious through our ears. So bhadrang karne bhi shrunuyama devaha. Bhadram pashe makshabhirya jatraha. May we hear what is auspicious, may we see what is auspicious through our eyes. Akshabhihi yajatraha. O worshipful devatas, just see that you bring all good, auspicious vision in front of us so that we see what is auspicious through our eyes. See, the ears and the eyes, very powerful. Through them we gain maximum knowledge about the world, about our surrounding. Ears and eyes. Of course, through our mouth also we gain, and our nose and all. But lot of information, lot of knowledge we gain through our ears and our eyes. So both the senses are mentioned here. So may we see what is auspicious. May we develop that vision that I am able to see auspiciousness everywhere. Others, or there may be different type of objects around, but if I develop that vision, I will be able to see auspiciousness in everything. Even in so-called bad things, one can see good. One can see auspicious. It is in our vision. So may we develop that vision by which we see what is auspicious. This is a sadhana at the level of our senses, so that the input is good from the world outside. Because if the input is good, then everything, the cleanliness process becomes better. Stiraihi angaihi stuštuvagam sastanubhihi Veshema devahitan yadayuhu. Ki stiraihi angaihi. May I develop stira, very steady and healthy limbs. May my body become steady and healthy. And with such steady and healthy body, may I worship, may I praise and worship all these devatas. May I lead my life, yad ayuhu, whatever be my ayu, a short ayu, long ayu, without craving for long ayu, without desiring to shorten it. Whatever ayu, whatever lifespan I have been given, may I utilize that lifespan for the seva of the devatas, of the good, of those who are of the higher and the better forces of nature, of that which is good and auspicious in everyone. May I spend my time in strengthening and serving the devatas. Devatas need not be up in the heaven, but in and through each and everyone. What is required is to strengthen what is good. Then automatically that which is bad and negative gets negated. It goes away. We don't have to fight the bad, but what is required is to strengthen the good. Then the bad goes away. So, sthiraihi angaihi stushtuvagamsastanobihi veshema deva hitam yadayuhu. Little music, huh? Sthiraihi angaihi stushtuvagamsastanobihi. May I serve the divine forces of nature with my steady and healthy limbs and lead my ayu, whatever ayu is given to me. Swastina Indro Vriddhashravaha. May Indra, the great Devata, the king of all the Devatas, may that Indra, who is most ancient and most, knowledgeable, that Indra Bhagwan, may that Indra bless me. Swasti no Indro Vriddhashravaha. May the Indra bless me, bless us. Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha. May Pushan is the sun, the Lord's Son. May that Lord's Son bless me, bless us. The Lord's Son who is all-knowing, Vishvavedaha, may that Lord's Son bless us. See this prayer when we pray, even if we don't know how it is done, the prayer gets answered. Sincerely when we pray, it works. Because this world functions not only at the physical level, but it functions at the subtler level also. Just as if you do something physical, it has got its effect on the surrounding. If I burn garbage in my backyard, it will have that effect on the environment there. And if I do some havan, it will have the other effect on the environment. Similarly, if I do havan in my mind, in the sense if I express good thoughts, it will have its positive effect in the surrounding. So prayer is a powerful media. It helps, it works. So here this is a prayer, ki may Indra bless us. May Pushan, Lord's Son, bless us. Swasti nastaksho arishtanemihi. That may the Vayu Devata remove all obstacles from our life. Make my life clean and pure. Pavana Devata, may he remove all obstacles from my life and make it more and more pure. And Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadhatu. And Brahaspati, the teacher of all the Devatas, the Lord of that which is great. Pati means the Lord. Brahaspati is the Pati, the master of that which is great, and what is great in us is the knowledge, wisdom. He is the master of the wisdom within. So may that master of wisdom, may the Guru protect me, bless me. Just as the teacher is outside, the teacher within. May the teacher within bless me, bless us. So Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let there be peace, peace and peace. We will chant once more, maybe together. Let us see if you remember the tune. Om Bhadram Karne Vishrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshabhiryajatraha स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्ताक्षो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. The Upanishad begins by giving the parampara of this knowledge, how it began, from where it originated, and how it spread, how the tradition grew. So that parampara is given here to give us to make us realize the importance of this knowledge. So it has come down from a very long ancient parampara, a tradition, starting from Bhagwan himself. In Bhagavad Gita also Bhagwan says that I have given this knowledge in the ancient time to the Lord's Son, etc. So similarly here also the parampara is stated in order to make us realize the greatness of this knowledge, and its root is in that supreme reality alone. It is not a man-made knowledge or information or some book or something, but the parampara starts from that supreme reality itself. So let us chant the first mantra. Om Brahma Devanam Prathamah Sambhabhuva Vishwasya Karta Bhuvanasya Gopta Sabrahma Vidyam Sarva Vidya Pratishtham Atharvaya Jeshtaputraya Praha Om Brahma Devanam Prathamah Sambhabhuva Vishwasya Karta Bhuvanasya Gopta Sabrahma Vidyam Sarva Vidya Pratishtham Atharvaya Jeshtaputraya Praha. Om. All the Upanishads and begins with Om only. Om is the most auspicious sound symbol of that supreme reality. That supreme is indicated by the sound Om, which is written as we see it in Sanskrit in this way, but it is the sound Om, which is considered the most auspicious sound, most holistic, and through this sound itself, the supreme reality is indicated. It indicates the expression of the supreme as Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, as gross, subtle, and the causal, and transcending all these three layers also. So, U, and Ma expresses the Jagrat, Swapna, and Sushupti avastha, and the silence indicates the Turiya, the transcendental state. So, all these four expressions of that reality is indicated by the term Om. Om can be used in our sadhana also, and regular chanting of this Om, even japa of the Om, helps to quieten the mind, purify the mind. So Om Brahma Devanam Prathama Sambhabhuva. That out of all the devatas, the first expression of that supreme reality, which is transcendental, which is indicated as Brahma, which is Sat Chit Ananda Swarup, which doesn't have any form, doesn't have any qualities, which is beyond all the gunas, that supreme reality, first expresses as Brahma, or also called Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic intelligence. The first expression, or it is also called Mahat Tattva, the cosmic Chitta. Different names are there, also called Prana, Pranatma, Sutratma. So that Brahma, the cosmic intelligence, is the first born as though by itself. Sambhabhuva is also called Swayambhu, is born by itself. The first expression of that supreme reality. Just as space, when we look at space, we can't see space. Then it expresses as Vayu. That is the first subtle expression of that space. We can touch, we can feel the air. Then it expresses further as fire. We can see that fire. Then it expresses as water. We can taste it. Then it expresses as solid material. We can smell it. We can touch it. In the same way, that supreme reality, which is like space, transcendental, without any qualities, it first expresses as Brahma, as Hiranyagarbha, intelligence, as awareness, as intelligence. In that supreme reality, there is no duality, there is no two. It is one without a second. There is no, it cannot be called by any name also. But it expresses first as Brahma, as the cosmic intelligence. And that intelligence we experience in us, in everyone. It is common, it is pervading all the beings and everything. Therefore, it is also called Sutratma. That Brahma is also called Sutratma. Sutra, like a thread, it is pervading everything. It has gone into everything. So we find that not only in living being, but even the non-living so-called things have intelligence in them. It is controlled and guided by intelligence. Their movement is guided by intelligence. Even a tiny little atom, it moves, it functions, guided by intelligence. The electrons, the way they move, the way they interact with other electrons, they follow laws. They just don't go and say hi to other electrons. They have their own rules and laws. So there is an intelligence which is guiding their movement. That is the Sutratma, which we experience in a living being very more clearly in ourselves. That intelligence is there because of which the eyes can see, the ears can hear, the mind can think. Even in an ant, it may not have the thinking capacity like humans, but it has got that intelligence. It knows where you have hidden the laddu. It goes in search of it. Not only goes in search of it, when it finds it, it comes and tells others also, other ants. Little to the left of the refrigerator. So they can tell, they can communicate. So intelligence is there in everything. That intelligence which pervades everything of this world in its pure form is called Brahma, the first expression. From that intelligence only then everything emerges. It is the first expression. Therefore, it's called Sambhabhuva. Om De Brahma Devanam Prathama Sambhabhuva. He is the first one to emerge, to be expressed. Vishwasya Karta Bhuvanasya Gopta. And who is this Brahma? He is the Vishwasya Karta. He is the creator of the entire world. The entire gross and subtle world emerged from this intelligence. The source of this world is intelligence, not matter. Matter also came from intelligence. In matter, there is no intelligence by itself. The source of the entire creation is that intelligence, who is called Brahma or Hiranyagarbha. The cosmic egg, golden egg also is called. So he is the Vishwasya Karta, the creator of this whole world. And Bhuvanasya Gopta, and also not only the creator, but also protector of this entire world. The entire world is guided and controlled by this intelligence itself. Everything, the object kept here on the table, is connected to everything else in this world. Even if a little thing gets disturbed, it changes the whole structure of the entire world. If you pluck a flower in your garden, it will affect the stars also. Everything is connected to everything else by this intelligence. It's most phenomenal thing. Just as we take a tiny little homeopathy pill, it has got effect on our entire body. Chalo, not homeopathy, even allopathy. Some allopathy doctors may object if I use only homeopathy. So it has got effect on the entire. It's chota sa, but it has got effect. So this Sutratma, this Brahma, Sutratma, is Vishwasya Karta, Bhuvanasya Gopta. He is the creator of this world and protect. So the world is emerged from this intelligence. Matter has emerged from intelligence. Matter is not the source of all the creation. That intelligence is the source. From that only everything has come. And sa Brahma Vidyam Sarva Vidya Pratishtham Atharvaya Jeshta Putraya Praha. So in that Brahma, in that cosmic intelligence lies all the scriptures, all the knowledge of the entire cosmos. Everything is there in that cosmic intelligence. A trace, a little bit of it gets expressed, gets manifested through humans, through some great saints and sages, through realized masters. A little bit of that great knowledge gets manifested. But it is there in that intelligence. It is eternal. So it's always there. So Sa Brahma Vidya, therefore it is called Brahma Vidya, because it is there with Brahmaji, and it is that he alone is the source of all this knowledge. Brahma Vidya. One is meaning that it indicates that Supreme Brahma, that is one meaning, but another is that it has been given by Brahma, the creator. See, when we say Brahma, it is a neuter gender, and when we say Brahma, it is the masculine. So when we talk about the creator, this Hiranyagarbha, we talk about him as a masculine Brahma. Brahmaji also sometimes. With respect, we say Ji. But Brahma is neuter. When we say Aham Brahmasmi, we are talking about the neuter Brahma, which is the supreme reality. Aham Brahmasmi. So, sa Brahma Vidyam Sarva Vidya Pratishtham. This Brahma Vidya is the very support, the very pratishtha, the very foundation of all the Vidyas, of all knowledge. Everything in this world, all knowledge, the basis of all this knowledge is Brahma Vidya, the supreme knowledge of that supreme reality. Knowing that reality alone, everything becomes known. Everything is supported by this knowledge alone. It is the pratishtha, the very foundation of all the sciences, all the knowledge. So Brahma means that supreme intelligence. From that supreme intelligence, this knowledge then came, first manifested in an intelligent human being called Rishi, who is also like the putra of Brahma only. So here it is said, Atharvaya Jeshta Putraya Praha, that Brahma gave this knowledge to his eldest son, Atharva. Therefore, this Upanishad, which is found in Atharva Ved, that whole Veda is called Atharva Ved, after this great Rishi only. He is indicated here as a Jeshta Putra. Jeshta Putra means a human being only, a Rishi who had become mature to comprehend, to experience, to gain this knowledge. We are all like receivers, but we have to be tuned to receive, tuned to Brahma to receive this knowledge. Just like our radio receivers. If we want to catch a particular station, we have to tune to that station. Then only we can catch. The radio doesn't sing the song. The song is sung by somebody else. Yes. But the radio catches it when it is tuned. Similarly, the songs of this enlightenment, as we say, the Upanishads, they are not sung by the rishis. In the sense, they became just like a receiver for that Brahma to sing through them, for that Hiranyagarbha to express through them. Therefore, even not only this ancient rishis, but even in modern recent times, like Tulsidas ji, he wrote Ramayana. We understand historically that he wrote Ramayana. But if you ask him, he says, I did not write Ramayana. He says, Shiv Bhagwan wrote Ramayana through me. Rachi Mahesh Nijamanas Raka. He wrote it. I just have become just an instrument. He wrote it through me. Similarly, this Rishi, Atharva, is not the originator of this knowledge, but it came to him by the blessings of his father as though Hiranyagarbha, Brahma. So Brahma gave this knowledge to, you can say, to Atharva. So Sa Brahma Vidyam Sarva Vidya Pratistham Atharvaya Jeshta Putraya Praha, to the Jeshta Putra, the eldest, means the most mature, the most fit, qualified, great Rishi in the state of meditation. This knowledge must have got revealed to him. Then what did he do? Did he keep this knowledge to himself? Says no. The next verse says, Atharvane yam pravadeta Brahmatharva tam purovacha angire Brahma vidyam sa bharadvajaya satyavahaya praha भारद्वाजो अंगिरसे परावराम. हाँ. अथर्वणे याम प्रवदेत ब्रह्म ब्रह्मा अथर्वा ताम पुरोवाच अंगिरे ब्रह्म विद्याम. So the knowledge which Brahma gave to Atharva Rishi digested this knowledge, experienced what was said there, but also imparted this knowledge to his student. Atharvane yam pravadeta Brahma Atharva tam purovacha. In the ancient time, he spoke this or gave this knowledge to Angira, to Angi, to what you call his disciple Angira. Angire Brahma Vidyam. So, to another Rishi, another student called Angi or Angira, he gave this knowledge to that Rishi. So the teacher imparts this knowledge, but the teacher himself had acquired this knowledge from that Brahma, from that supreme intelligence. We can also, in this time and age, we can directly learn from Brahma if we can make our mind absolutely pure, single-pointed, and tuned to Brahma. We can learn that knowledge directly. And that is the most famous prayer which we have, to learn this knowledge directly from Brahma. You know which prayer? Famous prayer? Gayatri Mantra. So Gayatri Mantra, that Savitva Devata is this Brahma, Hiranyagarbha, which is represented by sun. So there also there is the prayer ki Om Bhurbhuvasvaha Tassaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Ki Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. That may please enlighten my intellect. Please bless my intellect with this knowledge. That is the prayer to Brahmaji directly. And it is said that when we chant this Gayatri Mantra, this is a prayer, when we chant it regularly, it purifies our mind. Therefore, every student who is to approach the teacher in the good old days to learn these great scriptures, the first mantra the teacher is to teach was Gayatri Mantra. That you chant this Gayatri Mantra, then only you will become fit to understand what the scriptures are saying. Because your mind will get tuned to Brahma. Your mind will get tuned to the cosmic intelligence. Then there is no need for any in-between also. You will gain that knowledge directly by the blessings of Brahmaji. So, Atharvane Yam Pravadeta Brahma Atharva Tam Purovacha Angire Brahma Vidyam. So the same knowledge which Brahma gave to Atharva Rishi, he taught this to Angira, the Brahma Vidya. Then Angira taught this to his disciple. Sa Bharadvajaya Satyavahaya Praha. Satyavaha. His disciple Satyavaha, who was from the Bharadvaj Vamsha. So his name was Satyavaha. To him he gave this knowledge. And then Satyavaha gave this knowledge to Angirasa. So Bharadvajo Angirase Paravaram. So Bharadvaja gave this, Bharadvaja means Satyavaha gave this to Angirasa. In this way, Para Avaram, from higher to lower, this knowledge flows from the teacher to the student. Then the student himself becomes the teacher. Then he gives to his student. the student becomes the teacher, he gives to his student. So from the higher to the lower, that's called parampara. Parampara means para and apara, from para to apara, from higher to lower, just like the flow of water. It flows from the Himalayas and comes to the plains. So at the Himalayas we have what you call Gangaji and the jatas of Lord Shiva, and from there it flows to the plains. In the same way, from the teacher, the knowledge flows to the student. So Bharadvajo Angirase Paravaram. Then what happened? Shaunako Havai Mahashalo Angirasam Vidivat Upassannaha Papracha Kasminno Bhagavo Vidnyate Sarvamidam Vidnyatam Bhavatiti Kasminno Bhagavo Vidnyate Sarvamidam Vidnyatam Bhavatiti. Then Angirasa, in this way actually in the parampara this knowledge flows. And Angirasa was once approached by his disciple Shaunaka. So Shaunako hai Mahashalaha. This Shaunaka was a great householder. He was a very pious person, a householder, and following all the rules and dharma of a good householder, good person. So one day he approached Angirasa. And how did he approach? Vidivata, according to the vidhi, according to the rules of approaching a master. Oh, there are rules? Yes. There are rules of approaching a master. So what are the rules? Actually, here the rules are not given. But the rule is that Samit Pani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtham, that they bring what you call the firewood with them. The master is to stay in the forest and the disciple is to come, and when he is to come, he is to bring firewood carried on his head. He is to bring and offer it to the teacher. It is a symbolic also. Firewood was used also, and it was symbolic also, that I have come with all my vasanas and all my ignorance and all my negativities, and please burn it and reveal this supreme knowledge to me. I have come with total humility, total surrender. I have come ready to follow whatever instructions you give. I have come ready to serve you and learn from you. All this is implied by that ritual of bringing that firewood and offering to the teacher. So Vidhivat, he approached Upasannaha and Papracha and asked the teacher. Not that just went there and sat and waited and asked. Because when we ask, the teacher comes to know what level we are, where we stand, kitne pani mein hai. And based on that, the teacher can then guide the student. Therefore, the greatness of the Upanishad is the greatness of the student. The teachers are great, but the student, when they are very great, then the whole thing comes out in a different way. Bhagavad Gita is very simple, very nice, because the student is simple, nice, we can identify with him. He had some problem in his kartavya karma, ye kare ki wo kare. But The student who approach the Upanishads, they don't have all question about kartavya karma and about the worldly duties and this and that. They come to recognize, understand that Brahma, that supreme reality. No other agenda in their head. So the question which they ask comes from the very depth of their contemplation, not just like that. Not just what you call picked up question or just casual or out of curiosity, but coming from the very depth. So this question is most beautiful. It says, Kasmin no bhagavo, he bhagavo, O Bhagwan, O my teacher, who is like Ishvara. So, O Bhagwan, ki kasmin vidnyate, knowing what? Vidnyate, having known what? Having known what? Sarvam idam, all this means all this world which we see in front of us, vidnyatam bhavati, becomes known. That you tell. Kasmin no bhagavo vidnyate, sarvam idam vidnyatam bhavati iti. Just as it is said that if there is a effect, then there must be a cause, and cause itself appear in the form of effect. And the cause pervades the effect. For example, the gold ornaments. If there are many varieties of gold ornaments, then all of them are pervaded by gold. Means every little part of that ornament, wherever you touch, you will touch gold only. Suppose somebody doesn't know that gold, will be seeing all those names and forms, but will not be able to recognize that gold. Similarly, all that we see in this world is pervaded by one thing. In fact, it is that one only appears like everything. One appears like many. One appears like many. One first appears like two, and then two appears like many. In Gita also Bhagavan says that from that Supreme only, Prakriti and Purush is the manifestation of Supreme, and that alone is expressing as this world. Like yin and yang itself expresses as this world. So, if everything is an expression of one, then this question can be answered. Then we can, if that one is understood, then everything will be understood. That one has become everything. See, again, another very interesting thing is that suppose we say I understand something, I know something. What I really know about it is I know about it, I don't know it. For example, when I say that I know, let us say, sugar as sweet, I only know that object, I can see that object with my eyes, I can touch it, I can feel it, I can smell it, and when I touch it to my tongue, I experience sweetness. So what I know is my interaction with that object. But exactly what is that object cannot be known. It is just an objective knowledge. If you really want to know what is sugar, we can know only if I become sugar. We can know a thing by being that thing, not otherwise. So there is one thing which has become everything. If that one thing is known, I will know everything. So the question is, what is that one, knowing which everything will become known? Kasmin no bhagavo vidnyate sarvamidam vidnyatam bhavatiti. One is called Jnatam, knowledge. Here the word Vijnyan is used. It is not just ordinary theoretical knowledge, but the wisdom. means the understanding which comes from experience. The meaning of knowledge given, this wisdom given in our scripture, is that yathavat anubhav, yathartha anubhav, yathartha anubhav, experience of a thing as it is, not information about the thing, experience of a thing as it is. So that is vijnana. So he is asking for vijnana, not just knowledge in the sense information, but what is that knowing which I will know everything. So we will leave this question for today. Leave with you and me. You contemplate on this question, think about it, make it your own. Then tomorrow when we study the answer, we will be able to appreciate it much more. We will now just sit and meditate. So close your eyes. And stop doing whatever you are doing, if you are doing. Just sit back, relax, and bring your attention in the present moment. Here and now. And feel the intelligence pervading your body, your mind, your senses. Feel that intelligence without your interference. The body functions in the most beautiful way. It is guided by intelligence. Even when the ego is asleep, the intelligence makes the body function. The same intelligence which is making the body function is making the senses function. Same intelligence is present in our mind. Same intelligence pervades the entire cosmos. Pray to this intelligence, pray to Brahma to reveal that knowledge to you. मुच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।